Hi, welcome again to Let's Chat. We're here with Matt Paquette. Let's chat with Matt, and we're going to talk about. Well, we're going to talk about making games look good. That's what you do. You have tons of games under your belt at this point, and yeah, we're just going to chat about. It's graphic design, not illustration, which is a difference a lot of people don't understand. Yeah, MP&Co, which used to be just Paquette. Was it Matt Paquette, the whole thing, or?
So I've had my name domain for 20 years now. One of my older companies that I worked in, we registered all of our names, and I was lucky to get mine. So I've just kind of tied my whatever I was doing to that domain, and I don't think I can. I think it's kind of it's this other thing now. So if I want to do something else in the future, I've got to find a new domain to do it under.
I'm always pointing out, oh, I love the way this game looks and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, that's one of ours, and so if you just look, there's a huge list of games. Can you just like throw out some names so people go, oh, I didn't know that one. Oh, I didn't know that one.
I've got my Kallax.
Oh, there you go.
Here, my 4x4 Kallax with all of our stuff in it.
Some of the more recent ones.
Some of the ones that stand out for me personally, Mariposas that we did with AEG is just such a minimalist one that I love. The work we did on that. Wonderland's War is always a favorite for a lot of people, me included. One of the seminal games that I kind of cut my teeth on earlier on in my career is Thunderstone Quest, which ended up being quite a large title. Yeah, I guess, and then most recently, right here behind me is Daggerheart, an RPG that Darrington Press put out.
That looks awesome. I didn't know you did RPGs. Is that new?
Yeah, it's fairly new. Yeah. So we're working on our third right now. It's with Rebellion Unplugged. I'm not sure if I can say yet, but it's a much loved, one of the original kind of fantasy RPGs. So nice. I'm really excited to get that out there.
And your other shoulder.
Oh, right. Yeah. Food Chain Magnate, the special edition.
It's a small game.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit of press on that one. So yeah, Food Chain Magnate has been great. It started off as this, it's going to be a good project, and then it was like boom, 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 and they added a different version, and now there's 3 whole huge boxes and everything.
Yeah. Do you also do the crowdfunding pages for that?
For this one, we did. Yeah, we've done a bunch of crowd. I think I put some stats up on our site the other day. I think the projects that we've been associated with for crowdfunding have raised $40 million.
Wow.
Which is insane. It's just
wow.
Yeah. And I mean, a very, very large part of that 40 is the Brandon Sanderson Cosmere RPG.
Okay.
Which I think on its own was a tenth of that. So.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. I didn't know you did RPGs, but I do know that you do lots of board games. And I guess first question is, why board games over anything else? Because that's all you focus on is this industry, basically, right?
That's a great question. So I used to work back in 2016, 2015. I was working as a graphic and exhibition designer at our central, a museum attached to our central bank here in Canada. Back then it was called the Currency Museum for Bank of Canada. Now it's called the Bank of Canada Museum, because they go now beyond currency, and they talk about all the different financial literacy and all the different kind of pillars of the bank and Canada's finance. But one of the guides that I worked with there, one of the museum guides, he was I'm sure he still is, but he was at the time, he was a very large, board gamer. Him and his wife were huge into board games. And one day he said to me, he's like, hey, do you want to come to our place for Saturday for a day of board games? I'm like, it's been like 10. I used to play D&D when I was like 12 years old. And then I've been playing D&D throughout my life. I think the last actual hobby game I played was Talisman when I was about 15 or 16. And I said, yeah, no, it's fine. Maybe I'll pass, And then he asked me again a few weeks later. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, let's do it. So that Saturday came and went, and I remember leaving his house after 10 hours of board gaming, just like, oh my God, what did I just get myself into? My brain was done. I mean, in fact, we played stuff like, we played games. I think it was Skull and Roses when it was called that still. And one of the Marvel games. Anyways, it was a lot of fun. I was kind of hooked at that point. So up until that point, as a freelance, I always moonlighted. Whenever I was working full time, I would moonlight with like private clients. And at that point, I was doing a lot of work because I'd worked in restaurants for a long, long time, over like a dozen restaurants as like a server and bartender. I was working with this group of companies or this company that had a group of chains that did like fast food and other restaurant type things. And I think they had like 50 different restaurants under their umbrella. And one of them was this burger place. And I'd done like 1,000 projects with this burger place. And I think it ended up being like 750 projects or something. It was crazy. Wow. Over 10 years. But so I'm like, yeah, I think it's time to make a switch. So I started sending emails out to all these different board game companies of the people that I thought were kind of doing it well. And AEG ended up, taking notice, and they're like, hey, we got this game that we need to get some card backs done for. And the game is called, what was it called? Anyways, what the game ended up being was Grove Tenders is what it was called.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And then it ended up being Mystic Vale. So I did the original card backs for Mystic Vale, which was the first of many, many, many projects with AEG, and that was fantastic. So my moonlighting just got kind of snowballed. I was doing more and more and more and more, and then it got to the point where I'm like, well, I need to make a decision here, and ended up just moving to board games full time.
Wow.
And the rest is history.
And the rest, as they say, is history. Yeah.
And that was all started by a tenacious board gamer trying to add you to his group. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I was like, I started making my own accessories. Like I made wallets for one of my favorite games is Power Grid. And you had your money wallets that I made, or I made folding boards I made a folding board for the DC deck building game and things like that. It was just super fun stuff. And I'd be like cutting chipboard, and I had a color laser printer back then. So I would like, use spray adhesive and put stuff together. And yeah.
You were hooked. You were addicted.
Yeah, I was. I'm like, well, if I'm doing this for myself, why can't I do it for like people that will pay me to do it?
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And now you have how many board games under your belt?
We are, sorry, just my phone. Let me just put this on Do Not Disturb.
He's got board games to make in time for this.
So we have 7 people, 7 designers and 2 advisors. So.
And it started with just you how many years ago?
2017.
2017. Wow.
So just under 10, about 8 years ago.
Wow.
8 or 9 years ago. Yeah.
That's a pretty skyrocket move. It didn't take too long for you to start building.
No, I was really fortunate. I mean, like I mention this to people all the time, but I say, AEG's generosity with us, and me in particular, has really kind of contributed in no small way to how successful that I've been in this industry. And I hold no small amount of gratitude to them for that.
That's a good industry. Cool. You, I don't know if I've said this before, but Matt and I knew Matt before Matt and I even met. Our connected friend, Ben from Floodgate, reached out to Matt to help with my original QSCon 2019 poster, because it very good. So if you go back and look at the 2019 poster, the meeple with the die, the 315 die in the center, that was all Matt. Matt did that.
Oh, that's cool.
A few years ago, yeah. Well,
that was super fun.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's funny. I use a similar. So that die does not is not legal, I think, or maybe it is.
No, it is.
Okay, yeah, I did that similar thing for Ludicon, which is a con in Montreal for 514.
Right.
And that one wouldn't be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's not.
No,
yeah,
would.
it is.
Oh no, yeah, because 5 would be on the opposite
5
of
would be
2.
2,
and-
1 would be
yeah,
6,
yeah.
4 would
Yeah, it
be
needs
3.
to add to 7, right? So yeah.
The reason my die, I mean, 315 for me is Syracuse, so it made sense. But I got it from Sagrada. I actually thanked Ben for putting the Easter egg in Sagrada because the die he used was 315. So that idea.
Oh really? Oh, I didn't know
Sagrada,
that.
yeah. Because I'm like,
That's
oh, cool, that's our
fantastic.
zip code. Like that would be really neat. So I threw that in the logo. But if you look at the cover of, I wish I had a copy of it without. Yeah, right here. I don't know if you can zoom in, whoever is watching, but it's a 315 die right in the center,
Nice.
and that's where I got the idea from.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
I think I have a
So now,
here somewhere.
So you've been doing it for years. You've definitely, I mean, you've made a name for yourself as, if not the premier in graphic design for board games. How many? I mean, I guess companies would be weird, but how many titles have you on that 4x4 Calyx over there?
I don't know how many titles we have. Well, actually, if I go to my website, it says
the website, by the way,
done.
if you want to say what it is in the description here if you want to go check out all the other stuff that Matt
so
does.
as of last year sometime or earlier this year, I think it was last year, 164 published / announced titles.
That's amazing.
We're approaching, if not just eclipsing, 200 BGG credits, and that includes like promos and other stuff that are just like one card and things.
Right.
But, the vast majority of it, yeah. So we've been really, we've got 6 in the top 500 on BGG, which is great. So.
Every time we talk, and it just happened now, every time we talk, whether it's one of our top 5s on the Monday show or just in person, and just now, there's a new game added to my, oh shit, Matt worked on that. And it was Mystic Vale. I didn't know that you had worked on that.
Yeah, very, very small amount of it, but yeah, that was the first board game product. I remember being at TypeCon, a typography convention in Denver, and I was at the con, walking down the hallway in the hotel or the convention center. It was a very small con, like 200 people, but and looking over to my left, and I saw one of the, in like, you know, when they have the couches and stuff in the hotel hallway, and there's like some tables and stuff around it, coffee table. On the coffee table, there was a dark-haired dude playing, teaching people how to play this game, and the game wasn't a produced game; it was a prototype. I'm like, well, that's weird. That's cute. What's that all about? And it was this game called Blob the Princess. The guy was Maddox Schuler from Keymaster, and the game was Campy Creatures. What we know now as Campy Creatures.
Nice.
So I met Maddox that year, which was cool. It was like 2017, I think. But then shortly after that, I got the email from Todd Rowland at AEG saying, "Hey, we've got this game. We would love for you to work on it." Da, 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 da. And then I remember on the plane ride home, I'm sketching all of the card backs that I wanted to do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You also have a Facebook group that I think you do it every week, where you say your favorite fonts or something like that.
Yeah, every Friday, Font Fridays.
Yeah.
I used to do this personally, so I have a bunch of them in the vault that I haven't had to go find new ones in a little while. But the very first one that I did was Jin, which is one of Maddox's fonts because he's a type designer. But yeah, I love fonts. I'm a big typophile. I went to in 2014. I went to a type camp for
type camp. Wow,
it was cool. It was basically,
that's nerdy for graphic designers.
It was, yeah. It was just off the coast of BC at this little small island called Galliano, and there was type educators from all over the world that came in, and basically just me and 10 other people. We got this amazing week of type education.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like Bandcamp for musicians, right?
I'm flying my freak flag right now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's amazing. All right. So one of the things, the reason I'm curious, and a lot of the stuff that Chris and I have been talking about on our podcast, and whenever because we can't shut it off, our design hats and our development hats.
Sure.
One of the things that comes up, and it's one of those things we use because we're familiar with it, but I forget that people might not know what it means. But when we say, oh, and I wanted to mention that Facebook group is TVD, right? TEEVEEDE.
Put a link in the description as well.
For tabletop visual design. So
right. So one of the things we talk about, it comes up often, is UX and UI. And we say it because we kind of know what it is. But if you don't know what it is, UX is user experience, UI is user interface. And Chris had mentioned before, graphic design is completely different than illustration. Graphic design is arguably more important because the art can do this too, but graphic design can wreck a game. What's the difference? Right? I mean, it can.
Yeah.
What's the difference between UX and UI?
So I think user interface is the things that we work with on especially now in this day and age, we work with on a daily basis, whether it's a website, whether it's, and just speaking digitally, your phone, your tablet, your website, the dashboard on your car, the microwave keypad, whatever it is. I mean, we have a dial on our microwave to do all this stuff, which is when 20 years ago when we bought it, I was like, what is this? But so everything has a user interface because it's basically how you interact with the thing. Right. User experience is what that experience is like when you interact with the thing. How easy of an experience is it? And one of the things that ties to very closely with graphic design is if we do our job very, very well, it's pretty much invisible. We're able to let you do what you need to do without really going through this cumbersome, clunky interface. Mm-hmm. If you're not noticing how to what the steps are that you need to go through something to do the task, all the better. Fantastic.
Right. As long as you're doing it right.
as long as you're accomplishing your task.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
You're finding a game easy to play and you didn't notice it
like one of the cool anecdotes I heard was they gave some kids in a non-technological country an iPad and they were just able to right away start working with it. That is a success in user experience if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, my 3-year-old can take the phone and rock through YouTube.
Totally.
They touch the TV because they see the skip ad thing on the bottom right, and they know that if they touch it, it's to skip the ad. But they're TV, which is not a touchscreen.
Yeah, I remember going to when they first started at the movie theater. They first started. You could pick your seat when they changed the way the movie theaters were. They're more like the more luxury movie theaters where you can pick your own seat and stuff. I remember going to one of my local theaters by our house, and I said, and they had this monitor that was facing you. And smartphones have been around for a little while at this point. And so she's like, which seat would you like? Because I hadn't bought my tickets ahead of time. I just went up into the cash when they still had people, when there still was a ticket booth, right? Which there isn't now. And I said, oh, I'll take, and I started hitting the monitor and she's like, it's not a touch screen.
Yeah.
I felt like this old dude. I'm like, oh, sorry. Okay. Right. And I said, J14, please, whatever it was.
That's
but user experience is really in typography. There's a thing called the glass chalice or glass goblet, crystal goblet. Sorry, where is typography the choice of font, the style, the color, the whatever it is about the text, the font itself should be invisible. You should be able to see through that crystal goblet and get the content into your brain without having to navigate through reading type, working too hard to read the type. And that's the kind of the principle that I look at for graphic design for board games.
And it's more than just there it is. I knew it was in here. It's more than just icons, right? Like understanding that icons on cards or icons on maps do the thing that it's supposed to do. It's graphic design has way more to do with board games than just icons, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's so one of the things that I think has really kind of bulked up my toolbox when I'm working on a game is working at the museum. Museum had such a high bar for user experience, because not only are you, and especially in Canada too, because you have to do everything in 2 languages. You have to do everything that makes it accessible visually, physically. We thought about stuff like people that had issues with motor skills. So in board game parlance, if you're working with if you have a token that you need to pick up and move, through a whole turn of the game 5 or 6 times, you want to make that thing really easy to pick up, even if you have difficulty picking things up. So you're going to make it taller, you're going to make it chunky, maybe you make it a meeple, maybe, so you can just kind of grab onto it, as opposed to something that you're, trying to get the edge with your fingernails off of the table.
Right.
Not everybody has a cushioned board game table, right? It's like sometimes you're playing on a kitchen table that is like hardwood, and I absolutely hate taking cards off if I can't slide them off the table because I don't have nails, right? So these are the things that kind of really enter into my mind when I'm trying to, how can I make this as easy as possible? I look at every single component that I'm designing as a puzzle that I need to solve.
Right.
When you play when you play board games that you haven't worked on, do you find little stuff in them and you're like, that shouldn't be like that, or I hate that?
Sure.
Yes, Matt. Which games have you played that are not?
Yeah, I'm not asking which.
It goes the other way too, though, right? I mean, I would say it's the 10-80-10 kind of. It falls into that 80% of the time. It's fine. It's good. It could be maybe a tiny bit better, but generally fine. 10% of the time on the low end, you're like, oh my goodness, what? How am I don't understand how to use this. Or the top 10% is, wow, this made the task I need to do so much easier. Right. I'm going to shelve this in my back of my brain next time I'm doing this particular mechanic or whatever it is.
Right. So you're always learning, no matter what you're playing.
Always.
You're always learning something. Yeah.
Not even learning from board games either. I mean, like I could be doing something digitally, or I could be doing something, if it's like working on, some physical tactile thing that is completely not a board game or not even a game at all. You're like, oh, they did this really well, or if it's typography or whatever it is, it's always just trying to make things more usable so that, because in games, a lot of the time you have to make split-second decisions. And if it's hard, if the job you're doing is getting in the way of them making a fast decision, you failed.
Right.
Or you could be doing it better.
Yeah. And that same principle kind of goes with design too. So if you add that to design, you let people have this very fluid kind of experience where they don't feel like they bump up against all your different stuff. It's pretty cool that both of those things work together in the same kind of, like they're both having that same goal.
Yeah. And then there's illustration. So we were talking about what the difference between illustration and graphic design is. Illustration, a lot of the time, I think that the real heavy lifting that illustration does is immersion. Its job is to immerse you in the world, to say, hey, you're in turn of the century England, or you are a microbe in this microscopic universe that you're trying to work with, or whatever the thing is, right? And a lot of the time, visually, people look people use that as a crutch and really crutch is not a good word. People really rely on that to set the theme for them, to really kind of get them. And then design, our job as graphic designers is to take that and either augment it and play along well with the thing, or contrast it if we need that thing to pop off and be like, yeah, illustration's great, but you need to see this first. Right. So we're going to contrast the style so that you're like, oh, okay. And it's all about, like, whenever I talk about design or illustration or whatever, it's all about hierarchy. When you're seeing a thing, a box, a card, a tile, a token, whatever it is, there's information on there, whether it's just visual and thematic information or whether it's textual, word-based or icon-based stuff. You're going to see something first, something second, something third, something fourth. And the way that you kind of do that is predominantly with like the 7 principles of design, size, placement, color, emphasis, position, all that stuff.
Cool. Are you listed, or is your company listed in all of their rule books of the games that you've done?
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There you go. Show the whole deck there. You're basically like supporting what he's saying with his own work, but that's one of the things you can get from.
Well, when Matt's talking about something like, for existence, the 7 design principles, like there's a thing, like, people might not know about it, so you could pause the screen and read it. But there's this deck, I've talked about it on the show. There's this deck that Matt put together that you can go get there at, this is a video, this is in the podcast.
It's on the BGG store too.
Right. But
that URL directs you to the BGG store.
It's 50 principles, 50 things about making your game better, and things that and we've talked about, like, things that are hiccups or challenges for designers that they might not think about, but if they can forward think these things into their design, it just makes it easier for the publisher, for the graphic designers that'll be on board. Like, there's things that you can think about that if you can apply some of these things, it just makes your game stand out, especially in a market that's flooded with designers that want their games out there. If you can make your game stand out more, these things implemented into even a prototype will help it be remembered that much more when it's in a sea of, it's like having a resume that stands out, or having that interview that you just knock out of the park because you did something that's memorable. This will make your game stand out in a sea of prototypes that publisher, especially with Gen Con coming up, publishers will get pitch after pitch of mediocrity, right? Like, just some stuff that's like, yeah, that's good. Like, it's also Yahtzee, like, yay. But you do some stuff that makes it stand out. And these design principles, these things to think about, like, I asked Chris what Fitz Law was, and just because I was reading it, but these things you can think about when you're implementing your game on a table, it just make your game stand out. So when you get to the pitch table or you're giving a presentation, it's remembered because, oh yeah, that's what Matt was saying, right? It's just intuitive. It makes, you don't even realize you're doing some stuff because you thought about the stuff ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean, like, these are just these are well published rules that a lot of the UX stuff that we have today is got its notoriety and got its kind of the wealth of documentation that it has now is from the development of digital interface. And when people say I'm a UX designer, not very often are they mean digital. They mean, like, whether it's websites or apps or whatever.
Right.
But UX is certainly something that permeates through our whole lives.
I think this is the one that kind of most people know.
Yeah.
Because they make fun of people for it, right? But they like, that's a real thing to think about when you're designing your game. Like, there's some things that we joke about, but if you're a designer, you're looking into designing your game or think about these things, they're priceless. Priceless?
Yeah.
Priceless. I mean, there's a
I'll go
price.
with that.
We'll take it.
They're extremely important. They're extremely important to think about.
Yeah, and with those cards, you make the little books, you make coins, you make shirts and hoodies and all kinds of like our last Monday show. Mike was wearing your Be Creative hoodie, which looks amazing.
I was allowed to wear it for the evening. Luca commandeered it immediately when I got it. I put a picture out there. I shared it with Matt immediately. But I was allowed to wear it. And that was something Matt, and I'm not saying this because he's here. I'll say this. I think you stopped in the show last week when I was praising you. Matt is a genuine human. He's one of the nicest people that I've honestly ever met. And the recent Be Creative line of stuff you did for a reason. It wasn't just to get your logo on a t-shirt or a hoodie. You did that for a reason.
We have a hospital here called CHIO, the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario. And for 20 years, I sat on the organizing committee that a bunch of friends of mine and I did this event called CHIO Barbecue, which was not affiliated with the hospital, but we always donated money to the hospital. And it was basically a volleyball and an ultimate frisbee tournament, beach volleyball and ultimate frisbee tournament every summer here in Ottawa. This year was the first year in 35 years that it didn't happen. For whatever reason. It kind of changed over the years. It went from this super big party fest to now the people that attended originally now have their own kids, and so the event itself changes to be more of a family-centric thing as opposed to just a big party. So it didn't happen this year, and I was like, gosh, it's this. Because usually I go out and I help with setup at least. If I'm not on the organizing committee, I hadn't been for like 5 or 10 years, but I try to go out and help with setup at the very least, and that's always fun. But it didn't happen this year, so I thought, well, what can I do? And I thought, I had this Be Creative thing that I kind of started a bunch of years ago just to foster creativity in the tabletop industry. Whether it's an event that we had an event a couple of years ago at Gen Con, which is a big networking thing, and everybody game designers get all the publicity when it comes to the creative kind of aspect. Game designers and illustrators are pretty much the two, but there's so many other media professionals that like voiceover artists, writers, graphic designers, 3D sculptors, whatever.
It's and the people that do all of these guys, the Kickstarter videos.
Yeah, and there's all these folks that don't get the notoriety that they really deserve, and they're very underrepresented in terms of, because like I could ask you, I need some art for this game, and you could probably rattle off a dozen people. If I would say to you, yeah, I need somebody to do some voiceover work, or I need somebody to be an editor, how many would you know? I don't know that many graphic designers in the industry other than maybe a half dozen. I should know way more than that because there are tons. So this is just this whole Be Creative thing, and I just started doing it, whether it's like books or T-shirts or whatever. Most of the time, I just hand them out. The apparel was a little too costly to do that, but most of the time I just hand this stuff out at cons just to spread the word. But this T-shirt campaign was a way that I could give 100% of the money raised to the Sick Kids Hospital.
Is that still going? Can I put a link on the?
Yeah, you can go to. Actually, there's a store section of my site that you can actually order stuff from now. So just go to mattpaquette.com, and there's a store link at the top right, and there's hoodies, awesome. There's T-shirts, there's a bunch of stuff. And we were very fortunate. Snow is just in the other room right now. She's one of our graphic designers on staff, and she did. There's the Snow design you can get. I think actually it's right here. I think.
Oh yeah, Snow is on the card.
Yeah, all of our T-shirts and stuff came in for all of my local folks, and so this is the Snow design.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I love this one. And on the back of all the shirts is this creating together through play. There's another t-shirt that I could have done, but it just needs a little bit more work, and I got done from this design from a local mural artist. And it's really cool. I just need to fix it up for Ashley being okay to put on a t-shirt. So I'm really excited to debut that too.
That's awesome. Well, people can click on your links and go check that out. Go support it. That's awesome. Very fun. Well, it's fun talking to you. Every time we get on these things, I'm like, wow, 30 minutes gone by real quick. But
right?
Yeah. We'll have you back.
How you doing? Oh, look, it's time already.
Yeah, our Monday show's like 3 hours long, right? So we'll get you back on there soon.
Never enough.
Always have stuff to talk about. Thanks for coming on.
No, thanks for having me. This has been great.
We'll see you next week, yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I will be there with bells on. I'll be there Tuesday to Monday. So
I'll be listening for the bells.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Bye, everybody.